up? Hey man, we made it back. Shout out to everybody out there at the Court Plantation. Or if you went to church or did whatever you need to do, whatever religious belief you have, shout out to you. Shout out to my brother Dave from No Compromise. Georgia in the building. Shout out to the homie James Youngblood. Texas is definitely in the building. Shout out to the homegirl Shawnee, Philly, Erica, Florida. Shout out to Nuke. Everybody that's out there. Everybody in Vegas. Shout out to you. This is going to be a real quick one. Let's get it. Man, shout out to you, man. Look, give yourselves a hand. Hey, I was reading this article, so I just want to just read y'all this article and show y'all exactly what's going on. All the different symbolisms and bullshit to throw us off our game. A U.S. senator wants to speed up a decade-long plan to replace Andrew Jackson on the front of the $20 bill with abolitionist Harriet Tubman. Senator Janine Shaheen, a Democrat from New Hampshire, of course, renewed her call on Tubman's birthday earlier this month. She's urging Treasury officials to redesign the bill with a Tubman's likeness, which would make her the first woman and Black American to be printed on a U.S. paper currency. Images on U.S. paper currency are a reflection of our values and history, Shaheen said in reintroducing the legislation. Some of the most significant chapters of our collective history were shaped by women, which is why it's egregious that a woman has never been featured on U.S. paper currency. The proposed legislation calls on the Treasury to feature the abolitionist's image on $20 bills printed after December 31st, 2030. CNN has reached out to the Treasury Department for comment on the bill. Part of the push is to honor Tubman, a former slave who used the Underground Railroad to lead enslaved people north to freedom. Part of it is to demote Jackson, the president who kept scores of slaves at his Tennessee plantation and signed legislation that forcibly evicted thousands of Native Americans from their land. But Jackson isn't the only one of the 7 white men on U.S. paper currency who had a troubling history in slavery. At least 5 of the 7 owned enslaved people at one point in time, although some gave them up later in life and became abolitionists. We'll name the ones that did. The civil rights movement led historians to releases the role of white supremacy in the United States and forced Americans to take a harder look at their leaders, said Donald Neiman, a history professor at Binghamton University in upstate New York. We always reassess historical figures, especially those we put on the pedestal, as contemporary values change, and we should, Neiman said. Confederate leaders looked at a lot different before the civil rights movement, awakening us to the legacy of the racism and white supremacy, and helped us understand that they were fighting to preserve human bondage. The faces on U.S. currency are mostly associated with core American values such as independence, liberty, and democracy, and Harriet Tubman embodies all those, Neiman says. The U.S. Mint last year released a series of commemorative coins honoring Tubman, although efforts to put her likeness on the $20 bill have stalled in recent years. As the leader of fledgling nations of tumultuous time, the nation's first president had no shortage of challenges after leading the Continental Army to victory over the British. Washington adopted and ratified the Constitution and helped unite former colonies into the United States. But like many of his successors, he owned slaves. He inherited them at age 11 after his father died and left him in the Virginia family farm and bought more enslaved people as an adult. As President Washington avoided speaking about slavery, fearing it was a divisive issue that could tear apart the young country. In his later years, he became more sympathetic to the abolitionist movement. In a 1799 will, ordered his Mount Vernon slaves freed after the death of his wife, Martha. She freed them about a year later while she was still alive. He also ordered his estate to support his former slaves who were elderly or took sick to work. I'm not going to go any further because there's no need. Why don't y'all talk about the slave Una Judge, who he used all his resources, George Washington, to catch her and put her back in slavery? Matter of fact, George Washington and Martha Washington knew the rules of the land, which is in the United States of America Incorporated, and they would move 6 months and then move back, because in Pennsylvania, if a slave was in Pennsylvania longer than 6 months, they could declare their freedom. So what George Washington and his wife would do is move the slaves back to Virginia. And that's when Una Judge slipped away and got free, and they never caught her. And that was one of their slaves. Oh, and by the way, I like how they like to breeze over slavery and put her on the bill. We don't need Harriet Tubman being on no $20 bill. We need the reparations for all the atrocities and things that Black Americans have suffered and faced as we built this country for free without repayment. We don't need symbolism, and it's always the Democrats. See, that's the thing I will give the Republicans. They ain't trying to do shit for no black folk in that context. Not to me. I can deal with that because I know what I'm dealing with. I don't need no Democrat Party, aka the Democrats. Let's put Harriet Tubman, aka let's put a nigga on the $20 bill. They'll be happy with that. I don't need Harriet Tubman to be on no $20 bill to know who she is and what she means to the United States of America Incorporated. George Washington was a tyrant, a nuisance, and a devil, ripping out the slaves' teeth and making his own teeth because he had bad hygiene. And George Washington did not like black folk and had slaves, and that's why he didn't like to speak about it. And Martha Washington was the greatest, biggest land acreage plantation owner in history. She owned 17,500 acres of land. She wasn't trying to give up none of that shit. If that's the case, then why didn't you give up a whole bunch of that land back to foundational Black Americans? Because you didn't want to do it. See, this is the symbolism. This is what I'm talking about. See how they'll throw that in there? Oh, yeah, we want to put it on the dollar. The Democrats still ain't learned. Tangibles. Give me my paper. I don't want to hear shit about Harriet Tubman being on no fucking $20 bill. I don't need that. And neither does foundational Black Americans need that. We need reparations. We need paper. Y'all have high-ass interest rate, 6.2 to 7% interest rate on a home. They know good and damn well most Black Americans can't afford no 6 to 7% on no damn home. They know that. That's why it's so goddamn high. But I still see the dominant society and every other racial group purchasing homes, but I've yet to really see us purchase across the United States in droves because it's expensive. And not only is it expensive, groceries are expensive. Water's expensive. Utilities are expensive. So when you add all that up, how are we going to be able to afford a house? I'm talking about the average working Black American. Stop. And you talking about some damn $20, some Harriet Tubman on a $20 bill. I don't know what's worse. With the patronizing and all the symbolism. And then y'all want to breeze over how bad Thomas Jefferson and George Washington, they're all horrible. They were slave owners. I don't see the white dominant Jewish community giving any props to any tyrant that had anything to do with the Holocaust. That's what I admire about our white dominant society, Jewish brothers and sisters. They're not giving them no props because that's not something to play with and that's not funny. And you're patronizing someone. You're patronizing a whole racial group of foundational Black Americans. Don't put Harriet Tubman on no $20 bill. No. Why don't you take that $20 bill and shove it up your motherfucking ass and give us our $15 trillion so Black Americans can go stimulate the economy? We don't need symbolism. And you breezing over all the atrocities and graphic horror that has been done to us. Go read Medical Apartheid. Go read these books. Why people up here talking about, oh, well, the Chinese built the railroads? No, the Chinese finished about 500 miles of the railroad. It was already done and already built by foundational black Americans. Go read Slavery by Another Name. Because if that's the case, they would have gotten the Chinese to start it and finish it and complete it. So I don't want to hear it. That's just dominant white society people trying to poke the bear. That happened to me at the Court Plantation. This dominant white society person was like, oh man, I just can't believe we made the Chinese build the railroads. And I just looked at them and laughed. You're not even on my level to debate about any of that, because I know you ain't read nothing, and you're just standing on your white privilege, which is your assistance, which is your WIC in food stamps. So it doesn't really bother me at all. I just don't like the symbolism and everybody jumping for joy. That's why I told you what I said. And to speak more about Jasmine Crockett, now I heard it has been said that Doge is going to be looking into Jasmine Crockett's spending, because they want to know how you make $150,000 a year, but you done bought $2-3 million homes. Didn't I tell you? I told you they was going to. Jasmine Crockett is their tool. And when they're done, they're going to break the tool. Ain't going to be bothered with her at all. And I meant everything that I said about never would have made it on the last podcast. I'm not taking any of that shit back. I don't care. Shout out to my brother David, No Compromise, James Youngblood, and everybody else that listens to that podcast. Look, man, I ain't taking none of that back. We got to empower ourselves. That's why you see me hold the Nation of Islam in high regards. I don't care. Y'all might not like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You might not like the nation. Okay, that's fine. But those brothers know who they are and where they're going. They know about relying on self. They know about, okay, this Court Plantation don't work. Let me spin this off into farming. Let me spin this off into something else. They're not just going to sit there and depend on that. And maybe there's some Nation of Islam that maybe do depend on that corporate America job. Hey, but at least they're knowledgeable about who they are and where they should be going. So yeah, that's my issue with the black church and with black Christianity. Where are these mega churches at? I saw Jamal Bryant calling the black people that was at the White House, not Sambos, but he called them slaves or something. He's making some type of joke. Jamal Bryant, stop. Just stop and be quiet and continue to pastor and rob those niggas blind. Niggas, stop. Jamal Bryant is like every other person that has control of sheep. You're going to misappropriate the funds and take advantage of what's going on. And I ain't dissing Jamal Bryant, but dog, sometimes stop saying shit for shock value, because you know black people want to hear that shit. Because that's what they want, because we're looking at the black folk that's in the White House. Look at them acting like Sambos. All you motherfuckers, if y'all had a chance to be in the White House smiling with the president, y'all would be doing it. Stop. So I don't want to hear none of this bullshit. And people are saying shit for shock value. Everybody want to be Cat Williams and say something for shock value, just so everybody can be like, man, you heard what Jamal Bryant said? Jamal Bryant, stop. Just stop. All you mega pastors, stop. Before black folks start turning up the heat on all the shit y'all do. Like what Marvin Sapp did was unacceptable, my nigga. I don't care what type of pastor you are. Close the doors. I say close the doors. Like, nigga, because we need $40,000. Well, nigga, why don't you go ahead and put 15 of it on that damn 40,000? And wondering why everybody making fun of you. Cause, dog, you gorilla pimping and you look desperate. See, I'm not wooed by motherfuckers singing and all that. Like I said, man, some people you just don't even see. No, when last time you seen Bishop Noel Jones be like, close the doors, close the doors, close the doors, close the doors, close the doors. Because the last time I checked, Bishop Noel Jones already had paper before he started pastoring. Go look into his history. He's not a foundational black American, but look at his history. He already had money before he started pastoring. He had money before Grace Jones. He already had paper. If I'm not mistaken, he had his own construction company or something, but he already had money. Stop. We got to stop being wooed by symbolisms and gestures and, oh, such said this. And Let's, okay, cool. Just because somebody know how to imitate black art, we want to like give them some type of rite of passage. No, I'm still gonna look at you. What are you doing an art form for? Because you're a failure with your racial group and in your homeland? So you want to come to our art form? No, that's not how it works. And I don't believe in symbolism, because I think symbolism, all it does is distract from what we need to be doing. Go check out the articles on CNN. Again, we don't need Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. We need $15 trillion in reparations. I'm out. Guilty, nigga. Peace.